BYU basketball takes down Utah 91-78. Mitch Harper here with KSL Sports. Dybantsa goes off for a career-high 43 points. BYU basketball freshman record as the Cougars take down the Utes by 13 points. AJ, it was his day here at the Marriott Center. A Saturday afternoon game here at the Marriott Center. And I got to say, the crowd was a little bit quiet, I thought, today. It really wasn't until about the 6-minute mark in the second half when the crowd really got energized, and then AJ started to settle in. I mean, he knocked down 13 straight points for BYU, and he went off, and he had this crowd energized. It was an electric scene here at BYU. But anytime you have a chance to beat a record of Danny Ainge's, that's historic stuff. Ainge, of course, he scored 36 against Idaho State in 1977. That's a BYU record that's lasted 48 seasons, and AJ just passed that today as the Cougs take down the Utes by 13 points. But AJ goes for 43 points, 15 of 24 from the field, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, and I think most notably, 4 of 5 from the three-point range, and his 40-point mark happened when he knocked down a three and got to that 41 points. And then his final bucket was a dunk in the paint, 43 points for AJ Dybantsa. It was a special day for the star freshman on a day where freshmen around college basketball were having big days. Kingston Flemings for Houston, he had 42 points for the Cougs as they lost to Texas Tech out in West Texas. But I was looking at the performances by freshmen in Big 12 history. AJ is in elite territory. Trae Young and Michael Beasley are the only players in the history of the Big 12 to have scored more points in a game as a freshman than AJ Dybantsa. That's the elite territory that AJ Dybantsa is in. So here's the highest scoring outputs by freshmen in the Big 12. Trae Young, 48 in 2018. He had 44 against Baylor. Beasley also had 44. And then Trae Young scored 43 and 43. So elite company in Big 12 history is AJ Dybantsa now with his 43-point performance. And he was just kind of feeling it too. And I think for this to come on the heels of a season-low performance against Texas Tech where he only scored 13, I think that speaks to the mentality, kind of the greatness of AJ Dybantsa. And even Alex Jensen said, generational player is AJ. And Kevin Young made it clear too in the postgame, #1 player in the draft class, in maybe the best freshman class we've seen in decades. I think he made a clear, emphatic statement that he should be #1. But BYU, as a team, it wasn't a dominant blowout performance, but it never felt like it was a game where the outcome was in doubt. I thought BYU was going to win this game. There was a moment in the first half where Utah got the lead, but really I never felt like BYU was threatened to lose this game. Utah, give them credit. Terrence Brown, Don McHenry, they are a dynamic 1-2 punch in the backcourt. We talked about them this week. One of the better guard lines in the Big 12. They combine for 38 points. Terrence Brown only had 7 points in the first half, and he goes off for 22. Don McHenry had 16. Keanu Dawes, Houston native, nephew of former BYU basketball player Derek Dawes, he goes off for 23. But it was noteworthy in the postgame. Alex Jensen said he felt like his team kind of quit at the end of the game, which I thought was interesting hearing from Alex Jensen, because this Utah team, I think since the last BYU meeting 2 weeks ago, I think they've gotten better. They just can't finish the job, particularly on the road, as the Utes lose their 13th consecutive game on the road, 11th consecutive road game in Big 12 play. For BYU, along with AJ Dybantsa's greatness, Rob Wright had a big game. 21 points for Rob Wright, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. BYU as a team, only 8 turnovers in this game. Thought it was a sound performance from BYU. I don't feel like there was many lulls where long extended droughts, they kind of avoided that in this game, did the Cougars. I also think Utah, to their credit, they shot 62% from 3, so they went blow for BYU for a while. Then after the under 12 timeout, BYU really pulled away, and it was a wrap from there as BYU started to create some separation. Utah, had some late buckets, but BYU really pulled away in that second half, and it really got away from the Utes at that point. Some other odds and ends from today's game. in the timeout break, 3 winners from some timeout contest. There was a half-court shot made for the Qualtrics giveaway, $4,000 given away to that guy. Then there was another guy who hit multiple shots for a free car, a Volkswagen. And then there was a guy who hit another half-court shot for $1,000 of tuition. So it was just one of those days where everything was going right, and a memorable day here on this afternoon at the Marriott Center. Right now there's a women's game getting ready for BYU women looking to take down West Virginia. So if the audio sounds a little bit like, why is all this music playing? That's why that's happening here in the background. But again, on a day where probably was the least intense BYU-Utah game that I can honestly remember here at the Marriott Center in quite some time. Like, it just didn't feel like the crowd was super energized. It was 18,000 plus fans here at the Marriott Center, but it didn't feel like it was a group that was really loud and crazy. Not much to really get overly crazy about until late in the game when, of course, AJ took over and BYU started to really pull away from the Utes. I thought some other noteworthy pieces to BYU in this game were the bigger lineups. You saw Bidu Ahmed, you also saw Mihailo Boskovic and Hadim Boop playing on the floor at the same time together. And there were stretches in this game where Hadim Boop got the assignment on Terrence Brown. And what a luxury for BYU to be able to put a 5, a guy who's primarily a 4, but can play the 5. He can guard a point guard or a guard, so that's pretty impressive stuff there. I think Hadim Boop's going to continue to get better for BYU over the course of the season. He's an important piece to this team going forward as they kind of get into the heart of Big 12 play with the schedule really ramping up, because after this moment, and that's what today kind of felt like, it felt like just get by, stay healthy, get in, get out, get this win, because now the schedule really, it is the buzzsaw of the Big 12 as the next 5 games are quad 1 opportunities for the Cougars over the next 5 games. It was also interesting in this game, too, some other odds and ends, like the aesthetic in the pregame. In the pregame warm-ups, I saw the starting lineup. There was like some electric flags, like the BYU promotions and marketing. They make this thing a game day event. There were AJ Dybantsa posters given out to fans, 1 per person. But then they also added these electric flags. Like, I'm thinking, they just keep adding and adding to kind of this game day atmosphere here at BYU games. Pretty cool to see. Some other notes from this contest. Richie Saunders, not the greatest day for Richie. 12 points, 4 of 13 from the field. He really got kind of going, I thought, a little bit in the second half. But I think also BYU defensively early on in this game was kind of a tone setter. Utah didn't score a field goal for the first 7 minutes, but then they really started to pick up steam by knocking down the three-point shot, 13 of 21 from three-point range. They got to be better defending the 3 going forward this season. But I think there was a lot of positives to take away from this game for BYU, but ultimately it's a contest that you look at and you got to get ready for the heightened schedule going forward for the Cougars, because it's not slowing down in Big 12 play. But the good news for BYU, they've won 8 out of their last 11 now against the Utes. And when you're measuring yourself up in a rivalry, that's always good to get that win. But I will say this, though. I think the battles between Kevin Young and Alex Jensen are going to be really good for years to come. Now, to assume what these teams are going to look like year after year, that's a fool's errand at this point with how every season in college sports is such a one-year deal. But I do believe Jensen and Young are going to have some really good battles in this rivalry. And I think Jensen, as he continues to kind of get things going with his vision of that Utah program, there's going to be some really good rivalry games between these two in the heart of their Big 12 existence as Big 12 rivals going forward. With this game, though, I think BYU really was impressive, I thought, on the glass, too. We talked about it coming into this one. Keba Keita, he had 6 points, 7 rebounds, but I think Keba's presence, there was a shot attempt or an opportunity for a 3 by Keanu Dawes in the corner. he passed on that because Keita was coming at him. Keita's presence just kind of puts a little bit of fear sometimes in the opponents. It makes them second guess at least. And it's something that doesn't get measured in a box score, but Keita is just kind of an impactful player. And now we're seeing a healthy Keita. And I think also Bidu Ahmed. He continues to provide valuable contributions to this BYU team. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and that's good production from Bidu. 17 minutes of action from him. You got Bidu, you got Mihailo. He hit a nice 3 in front of the BYU bench. I just like where BYU's front court is kind of evolving as they start to see the schedule ramp up, and that's a good place to be. And when you got a guard like Rob Wright, and then that backup point guard, of course, is AJ Dybantsa, and AJ's going to do his thing. You've got a nice recipe for success to really make a run in the NCAA tournament this season. And I like, too, the shooting from 3, 42% from 3. If BYU's in that territory, they're going to win a lot of ball games. This is the 5th time this year they've scored or got around that 45%, that territory from three-point range, 42% today. But when they're in that 40 to 45 range, they're going to be tough to beat this season. And that's something to really watch. And AJ being 4 of 5, that's huge for this BYU team. But Cougs again get it done, 91-78. They will now get ready for number 1 Arizona coming up on Monday night. 20-0 Arizona, who took down West Virginia today. That's going to be a massive opportunity for BYU on a Big Monday stage. Think about Big Monday. BYU hasn't played in a Big Monday game since the days of the Mountain West. It's been a long time since the Cougars had a Big Monday opportunity. Those are the old 10 p.m. Big Monday games. Huge game coming up Monday. AJ Dybantsa, Koa Pete, Burries, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders. It's going to be absolute cinema for Big 12 basketball. So we'll have full coverage on the Cougar Tracks podcast and on KSLSports.com for that one. I'll talk to you next time. Signing off from Provo, Mitch Harper, KSL Sports.